Welcome to day 14 of our 30 days of PM challenge, where we talk about product management topics, principles that a product manager typically needs and applies in their day to day job, building and scaling features for their organization, right? Or building it for themselves. We are at day 14 of our 30 days of PM challenge, and this is part of our series that we've been talking about principles, concepts, frameworks, and examples and scenarios discussing how a product manager typically does their job of building products that are used by customers, scalable, generate business value, satisfy the customer needs, and are eventually value generators for customers. So I am Shagun. I'm part of the nonsense, and we here talk about product management and everything product related, right? Marketing, management, scaling, building, developing all products that you see. And this is a series for us and our attempt to talk about product management principles and things that a PM does in their job. So today we are looking at empathy maps and customer journey maps and what these entail and how these are part of a product manager's toolkit of things that they can do when building and dealing with customers and building with user and building features for customers and the platform that will be used by these end users. So let's look at empathy mapping to begin with, where empathy mapping is essential is a way to map a few parameters about the user, right? At the end of the day, you are working with you end users who you need to have a very good understanding of where they come from, why, what they do, and what do they use and leverage the platform for. What is the key ability or key stat or figure or task that the product is helping them solve for, and what needs to be improved for them to have a better experience on the platform. A lot of the times products have multiple user personas that they deal with, and I think we covered in one of our previous streams where we talked about users within a single platform. There can be users at multiple level. You can have users just categorized on the in the terms of role. If a user, for example, is an individual contributor, NIC, they look at the product to get things done and to optimize and automate as much work as they can, such that a lot of their manual processes can get done quicker and efficiently so they can focus on other things. Whereas a manager, the manager of the IC, for example, is looking at the platform for more details on the progress that has been made and what essentially is going on with the product, right? Or for example, a product has been hired to do a job, as we seen in JTBD, jobs to be done framework, and where it talks about where we look at the outcomes. For example, a product or a feature generates over the problem at hand, right? What are we trying to achieve is solved and is clarified through the jobs to be done framework. But here a manager is essentially looking trying to holistically look at, I mean, things they are responsible for, things, and how things have made progress over a period of time. Whereas a leadership role user, right, a VP or a director using the platform, firstly they wouldn't really have the same level of cadence of looking at or logging into the platform unless the product is just built for them as a primary persona, right? But a lot of the times executives and leadership teams do have access to platform just in case they want to look or review a few details. But uh, a leadership role user would probably come to to the platform to generate reports, look at reports, look at analysis of what's going and what's what and what's where, for them to then focus and prioritize on what needs to be tackled next as part of the process. So even in the same platform there can be multiple users, and all these users will have their own priorities of things that they want to achieve and want to solve for through the platform, through the platform that you deliver, right? So in essence, empathy maps helps you map everything, things about the user in a grid, in essence. So if you look at a typical empathy map, the user is at the center. Whatever, the user, you can have a persona assigned to the user, what the user does, what is their behavior, goals, aspirations, motivations, frustrations, and things like that. But when it comes to, for example, building a feature, you can map things or from the research and conversation with the user in these four buckets. Firstly, what does the user think? what are their thoughts on, for example, a feature. You can, what do they say, when we mean say, mean what have they quoted about the product. What do they say, I mean, when it comes to word of mouth, if there are initiatives done by the end user. And what do they feel, I mean, what do they feel like when using the product? Is it satisfied? Are they satisfied with the user experience? Are they feeling frustrated at the end of the, I mean, after logging into the platform, where the platform is not able to do X or Y task that they feel like is straightforward and should be done, but what they feel can be in a single bucket. And what the user does within the platform, right? That can be, because uh, in this three level of users that we showed, not all of them used the platform for the same purpose, right? uh, an IC is using it to automate and manage workflows. A manager is looking to look at progress, and a leadership role is looking to generate reports out of the platform. So a lot of times, using building these empathy maps, you don't have to do this every time. You can build an empathy map for a group of users that fall under the same bucket, or you can just assign a user persona with an empathy map, right? So here, we talk about more details. Says quadrant contains what the user says out loud in an interview. Ideally, it contains verbatim and quote, direct quotes. In the think section, we, what is the throughput of their experience, the end user experience? What do they do? What do they physically do? How are they interacting with the product, and what do they feel about that? And eventually the end feeling, right? Emotional state of the user, where are they satisfied? Do they feel like there is room for improvement, or if there has been improvement, and the user is satisfied with the results. So empathy maps helps you organize. A lot of times you don't really, I mean, unless you are building a product from scratch and you have user personas to deal with, and you're trying to figure them out, after a while, once you are clear with the empathy maps for the user and the persona, a lot of the time it's just second nature. When a PM is building a feature for a specific user and a specific user persona, you automatically have the says, things, does, feels in your head when building for them. And you also get to understand some prerequisites that are, for example, a must have for a specific user segment or a user, right? A technical user might always want to, I mean, play around with the APIs, whereas, for example, a not technically savvy user might want the ease of just clicking a few buttons and getting things done. So a lot of the times priorities change, and empathy maps are a great way for you to organize everything about the, and know all details possible, and put them on a canvas to understand the user intent to begin with, right? So this is an empathy map and how you create that. We also have a reference from one of these articles I found online, which talks about empathy mapping in terms of design thinking. And it talks about a similar structure of building an empathy lab map and dividing into four sections. What does the user think and feel? Do they feel an excitement? Does the product motivate them? And do they have trust on the product? Do they fear that potentially down the road the product or feature might not work out as they were expected it to? Or they have other anxieties when it comes to the product, where, for example, they might have issues when it comes to delivery of a specific feature. Then the C section is their point of view of a particular problem. Or, for example, PMs might have solved a particular feature request a certain way, and once it's delivered and feedback is received from uh, customer shares a different point of view, which they feel like is the right way. A lot of times when dealing with larger clients, a lot of this is an issue very common with large clients, where their approach, for example, they have a point of view and a way of solving for this, and they feel like that's the only way for the problem to be solved, even though there are many other ways. So you, as a PM, when talking to customers, have to explain them that, yes, I understand, I take your feedback, but I feel like just tweaking the your point of view a slightly different way would probably even help you and also other customers using the platform. So in that way, you don't really create debt and build features just specific to a single customer, but have can apply to a, I mean, broader user base, right? And then what do they say and what do they do, that we, and which we talked about, the does section of it, right? What what attitude do they have towards the product, right? What does their typical day look like, right? What is their tone of, I mean, conveying a message? Are they positive when talking about a specific section? I mean, essentially, what do they say, or what do they speak out when they talk about your product, right? Does it really make sense? Do they feel good? Do they feel bad? I mean, how is their attitude towards the team, towards the product in general, and the updates that they've been receiving? And then last section is about hearing, and here it's essentially talking about their tone. I mean, the environment, what do they listen to? It's more on the background of things as to what the user really does, and what who do they listen for advice. For example, where do they hear their opinion, where do they get their knowledge from on a specific segment. So this is a very good diagram which talks similarly about empathy maps, and where and how you can, for example, map down what a user says, what does a user does, what do they think, what do they feel about a, it can be anything, it can be a problem statement, a feature, the whole platform in general. But yeah, this is one way to map things around. Then why should we use empathy maps? Helps identify the types of research, it helps categorize, it provides more qualitative research for you, and and eventually when making decisions you have a lot more data points to go by, for example, and make decisions not just on the problem at hand, the user and their background, but also on their emotional side of things, and also where they come from when it comes to the problem and their request for the problem to be solved. Then we get into our customer journey maps. Customer journey maps are essentially instruments and ways to talk about a particular user, their goals, and how the typical process of achieving their goal looks like, right? And the insights along the way. So we have an example from Reforge here again about a very simple customer journey map, right? Here, this is about a customer journey map about purchasing, right? So user is looking for an expansion channel. Okay, good. User finds a core product and registers stores. Wow. So the user is happy here, right? So this is an index of the level of happiness. Then the user uses the core product and increase the revenue, which is a good indicator, which means the product they signed up for is working. User finds multiple obstacles in selling life cycle. So they, I mean, after some success, they see like a drop when it comes to selling life cycle, right? From start to finish, once a product sold, the after service, after sales, the support, and so on and so forth, which they seem to have problems when using Shopify in this example, right? User searches for app that can plug the edge cases, or some way or some plugin which can essentially fix the issue, or a plugin which can solve for their request. Through that, user searches uh, something for that can plug. A user reviews the app for trial or for service. Users checks the rating. So these are essentially drivers which make them decide, do they really want to spend the time and effort to fill the edge case for the Shopify app that they have currently set up and built for. So user authorizes, they check these drive, but user I mean, they continue to upgrade their app services, but even then their problem is not solved, and they have a drop off suddenly, right? They have a cliffhanger moment where really, after all these driver initiatives for I mean, looking to the app store for alternatives and plugins that could solve for their edge case, they still don't really see a lot of value being generated over a period of time when it comes to their sales life cycle. When it comes to growing their revenue, yes, the product did its job in helping them grow their revenue, but not the whole life cycle of purchase, sale, support, and the whole journey of building and selling products. So eventually their feedback turns negative, and they really end their journey with the product. So this is typically how a user journey looks like. We look at the user, the product, what drives them to use the product, their empathy map, so to say, their how do they think, how do they feel about a particular product along the journey when using for its whole life cycle of, I mean, doing the task it's supposed to do, and taking calls and decisions. So this is how a typical user journey map looks like. You also have other advanced customer journey maps when it comes to marketing, right? So this is, for example, for a product that has been discovered, I mean, discovered by a user either by an ad or through word of mouth. They interact with the website, they complete a form. Do they complete the form, you start a small drip campaign which I mean over a period of time nudges them about the product, talks in across omni-channel customers journey, uh, tries to interact with the customer via LinkedIn, via social media, via email, and gets them interested with the product. But if the customer does not meet your core requirement of the number of employees in their organization being greater than 10, you consider it as a non-market qualified lead. But for others, you process them in a separate journey and look for if they have signed up for demos. If they have, then it is a sales activated lead, right? And then if it qualifies, if it doesn't qualify, the process goes on. And if they've not signed up for a demo, you go put them back in a drip campaign and see if they sign up for a demo and grow the product from there, right? So this is a typical customer journey. How, for example, they choose the plan, what plan do they choose, and how the revenue is generated. Is the customer a pro? And what uh, for example, when it comes to upgrading, do they renegotiate? Are they offboarded uh, where they decide not to continue, and things like that. So this is how a typical customer journey map looks like from start to finish. They can be multiple formats, you can use your own. This is just a flow chart. This one, for example, had the customer empathy in terms of their satisfaction level, the steps they took, what drove them to a particular decision, and how the growth over a period of time looked like, right? So these are a few empathy maps. I think we also have an example of a typical journey of buying a new car. We have the user, we have their background, what are their expectations. We look over a period of time, for example, in when they are in the consideration phase of purchasing a vehicle or a car. They look at ads, they look at resources online, look at reviews, explore it for a period of time, see what matches their budget, what do they really feel like buying, what are their options in the market, compare the options that they have seen, test try go for a test drive, look at dealerships, talk to them, see for best prices available, negotiate with them on the best prices and what you really need, make the decision, and you decide on a car from there, right? So the process starts lot of fun when you are discovering new things. It goes down when you are exploring a lot of things and it's lot of time being consumed, and then in the comparison phase you probably feel like you made a decision, you feel like there it's probably over budget, you might have to cut some budgets, or for the car you would try to really achieve, it's really out of your budget, so you might have options there, problems there. And but over a period of time, once you get to the finalizing and actually getting the deal done, you then have the testing phase and the negotiating phase, which eventually help the customer journey to improve over a period of time, and you have your car that you were looking for. So this is a typical journey when it comes to shopping car. We looked at how the using an application for selling and generating revenue online looked like, and this is a similar workflow. And we also have codes along the process from the user, where for example in the compare phase they feel like they might miss the perfect car if they don't check the site for multiple times a day, because there might be auctions and there might be listings that are only for a specific time period during their work hours, which they feel like might hinder them the opportunity of actually getting the car there, the perfect car they feel like that can be bought for the price and for the time period that they have. But eventually we see them, they are so happy with their new car, and after they do the negotiation and wonder if there is a better deal in the market, if they don't, they probably make the negotiation and get the deal done and have the new car, and they feel happy at the end of the journey. So and even this customer journey can also be mapped out in terms of what the customer really says, what do they think about, what do they know, which is essentially the background, what they want is in the expectation section. And what do they do, right? What do they do? They have a job during the daytime but are looking for options. I don't have a lot of time to research, but have some time to at least explore over these options that they see in the market. So this is a typical customer journey map. And if you were to map these journey into sections of the empathy map, you could do that as well as we discussed, right? So you can take the user, see what they say. In the last sections where we had a flow of emotions from top to bottom, and then eventually to top, what do they think about a particular car at a particular time period in a particular stage when they are, for example, testing or comparing them. They might have different opinions in both the stages, and which is probably narrowing down their list of what needs to be achieved, what the user feels and what the user eventually does. The user feels that there might be other opportunities if they don't check the website multiple times a day, and eventually the user does that and they find the deal that they like, make, negotiate, and then get the deal done and have the car that they needed. So this is a way to map a lot of user journeys, user feedback, and user I mean opinions of users over a grid, over over a platform, over a horizon, for you to then make decisions and understand the user at a deeper level, not just at the problem and the and the potential solution level, but also on a deeper way, deeper sense, where you have more understanding and inclination of why that problem actually arises. What do they typically do in such situations, and what needs to actually be done to solve for the customer, right? So this is a great exercise for you to understand who is the eventual persona you are delivering it to, what what are their emotional needs, what are they looking out from a product, and how does their typical journey of using the product look like when it comes to this is, for example, the purchase phase. There can be also another customer journey when it comes to the actual usage, the service, and the maintenance phase of things. But yeah, this is how you can build customer journeys, which talk about a typical start to finish for a journey, divided into multiple phases with user quotes and their mood across the series of events that take place. Whereas empathy maps are more on the side to look at a user persona, their needs, their decisions, and why they make these decisions in the way they do. So this is all about user customer journeys and looking at empathy maps when building products and how you can use these to scale. There are also other resources that we discussed in one of our previous live streams on ways to research and then organize this data also in a similar fashion on what the people actually do. So which is what does, what do they say, what do they want, and what do they think, right? So this is another such diagram. You also have a way for you to research and align these in separate quadrants of, are these analysis or are these tests more behavioral oriented, or more, are they more quantitative, are they more qualitative, or are they more attitudinal level of research that you're trying to do. So even research for each of these segments can also be done, and this is one great diagram showing for each stage what is the potential research methodology you can use to get the insight for you from users. Build these customer and journey maps and empathy maps, take decisions, build and turn all your user research into insights, get the problem and its root cause, build potential options to solve for that, get it reviewed, get all the stakeholders aligned, delivered, get feedback, iterate, and improve your product from there on. But yeah, I think this does it for the session today, where we looked at these maps for mapping out empathy and customer journeys. We'll see you guys tomorrow on a new session talking more about product management principles and looking at the problem phase. Now that we have covered a lot of details on the user research and user analysis and getting feedback from user phase, we'll now transition into looking at problems and the problems customers really have and how to solve for those. But yeah, see you guys tomorrow in a new session talking new things about product management. Thank you.